It's been 5 years and the Geekcast Radio Network would like to give back to you. How, you may ask? Well, first of all, we're coming up with a brand new website to be launched June 1st, 2014. In addition to that, there'll be many new features for interactive abilities. So how do you enter into this magical celebration? Well, Geekcast Radio has a contest where you can win some awesome prizes, ranging from comics, Blu-rays, DVDs, trade paperbacks, and comics, and more. How do you enter? Write in your favorite stories of how the Geekcast Radio Network has affected you in the last 5 years, and how it's unleashed the geek in you. You can also enter by writing reviews on our shows on iTunes. For more information, visit www.geekcastradio.com and click on the banner. So until next time, unleash the geek in you. Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 70. I am your host, TFG1Mike. Joining me is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello.
Well, we started Batman month here, celebrating 75 years of The Dark Knight with JT and I doing Batman 66, issues 5 through 8. And then Steve and I covered Beware the Batman, chapters 1 through 4, the digital series. And now we go to one of the Batman masterpieces, Batman Year One by Miller.
Yes.
When was the first time you read this?
Honestly, I never read it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I saw the
film.
The film.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
More so, it wasn't because I wasn't interested. It's just because I hadn't been exposed to it, and I didn't. When it comes to some of these classics, I try not to find CBR files of them. I try not to. Mm-hmm. I actually do like to own at least the trades of some of them, like some that we'll end up discussing in future episodes. But it's not that I don't care for it, because I do. I love Batman, and I love what Frank Miller has brought to Batman in general. I mean, the 80s were a huge transformative time for Batman.
Oh yeah, they
very
much were.
So to me, it's more of I'm a fresh onlooker onto the timeline of Batman's first year, more or less.
Mm-hmm. For me, like I've said throughout this podcast's history so far, I wasn't reading comics as a kid. I just wasn't. I mean, I read a few Spider-Mans here and there, but especially in the 80s. 86, it was Transformers. 87 was Turtles. You know, I didn't grow up with comics. And it's taken us 69 or so episodes to get to this moment because, like you, I've seen the animated film. And I really enjoyed the animated film. I thought it was great for what it was. And I gotta say, right away, I almost enjoy the film a little bit more. That's not because of the story that's told in here. It's because of the way the art's done in certain places. See, I always thought that this was supposed to be the darker Batman, and it kind of is a little bit in certain places, but I thought this was like supposed to be a little bit more current because I didn't realize back in I guess I should have realized since it went up till about the 90s that it was the old kind of art style. I love the film. I thought the film was great. I think that I don't think Batman talked enough in it, but then again, he had Ryan Atwood from the OC voicing him, which is kind of funny because Ben McKenzie voiced Batman in Year One, and he is now slated to play Commissioner or Lieutenant Gordon in Gotham, in Fox's Gotham. So, all right, Batman Year One. Now, for me, I've been getting the trades through the library a lot of the times that I can't actually go out and buy them. And granted, the library isn't the best like condition of a book, but hey, it's free, you know. So we start out with the Crime Blotter, and we have various little stories. It's kind of like the Crime Stoppers section of a newspaper, etc., etc. What I find extremely interesting about this one is the first story here. Oops, she did it again. Gossip diva Vicky Vale got her legendary, notoriously firm, shapely fanny tossed into the hoosegow yet again after trying to lift an estimated $11,000 worth of merchandise from the Sprang. The cutie klepto pled guilty after paying for the loot and promising on a whole big heap of Bibles to seek counseling. She got off with a wink and a nod to the judge. Leave us say the dame knows how to wink. One juror says she even blew a kiss to the horny old fart. You can't make this crap up. I find it absolutely interesting that they made her that way, because the only time I've ever really seen Vicky Vale was in the '89 movie as the photographer. Yeah. We have a nice little introduction by Denny O'Neil, so that's interesting here in the trade. And I gotta say, the covers, I'm wondering, now I know a lot of the BTAS stuff came from Batman '89, but this whole black paper thing for the first couple of seasons of Batman the Animated Series, I'm wondering if Tim got the idea for that, or I think it was Eric Radomski that had that idea, got it from this, because how the trade is it opens to a black page, and then the image is Bruce with his slain parents. So that's very interesting. Chapter 1, Who I Am and How I Come to Be. It's an interesting overarching image here with this cover, because you've just got the shadow of the bat and then Bruce as an adult sitting in what looks like to be a bloody chair, or blood under the chair. I really do like the story. The story is very well done. It's the course of 1 year, January 4th to, I believe it's December 3rd. I could be wrong. But you have Gordon coming into Gotham, and he's, just starting out. And forgive me, folks, if I maybe mistakenly call him Commissioner Gordon, because that's what I'm used to calling him, but we have James Gordon coming into Gotham, and his little partner picks him up, and I love the narration, and I do, as I'm going through this, I do enjoy some of the art. I will say, while I do enjoy the story, there are times in here where I'm not a fan of how it's told. I think there are way too many news things. I think that only works in the animated film. I don't know, it didn't read that well for me. I don't know. What about you? What did you think of the layouts and all that?
I mean, it was a little confusing as far as reading the book is concerned.
Yeah.
The only reason it makes some sense to me is because I've watched the Year One film, where they've kind of definitely taken a lot of what's shown here throughout this trade. So, I mean, there is that. But, I mean, for one, I'm not fond of the artistry in this. But I do feel that the Year One film actually captured a lot of it. Not only the story, but a lot of the stylings to the team.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, it plays fine in the movie where you have the news reports coming in and out, intermingled with the story. Here in the book, it just, I don't know what it was. Like, I didn't know which panel to look at. Usually you read from left to right with comic panels, and it just, there are times it just didn't, I don't know, it was a little strange. And I think oh, no, it's not this one. This is the next episode, actually. I'm mentioning this news thing, and it's only really happened once in here. Dark Knight Returns is really where I got all kinds of effed up, because that's the one that that's the one that confused me. We'll talk about that next time in episode 71. But yeah, you've got Commissioner Loeb. You've got what is his partner's? What is the guy's name? Oh God, I can't think of it off the top of my head. And I have the book.
That Gordon's partner's name is.
Yeah, Snedley, Sneedley. I'm just making up. Flass. That's what it is. Detective Flass.
Yep.
Yeah. You can really tell, like, as soon as Gordon gets off the plane and Flass picks him up, that the Gotham PD is not on the up and up.
Oh no, you can tell they're all definitely scumbags.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And Gordon, he's coming from a place where I believe he came from either New York or Chicago.
Chicago, I think.
Yeah, and he's coming from a place where he just busted all of the people so he has a reputation of getting internal affairs involved in cops' lives, and specifically dirty cops' lives.
Well, he's a hard ass, and he's a real cop.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Very true. And we eventually get to March 11th, where he ends up getting a beat down by the other cops, and he can tell that it's, Flass is there. We also go to the Eat. Now, I hope it's not just me stereotyping this, but I thought normally in towns it's the West End that is normally the bad end of town, but I find it really interesting that the East End of Gotham is the bad end of town. And we get our first glimpses of Selena Kyle. She has a certain profession. She's a hooker.
She's a hoe.
Yeah. But at least she's a hoe with morals, because, damn it, nobody hurts Holly. And throughout this whole part, and I know I've kind of skipped ahead a little bit here, but throughout this whole beginning of this is Bruce trying to figure out his method, his way of crime fighting, and how to do all this. So he actually goes into the East End, and he starts, he doesn't really pick a fight, but he ends up in the fight. And the cops break it up, and they have him in the back of the car. Oh my, this, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, maybe it's because I didn't grow up reading this book, but the movie does these scenes so much better as far as visually. It really, really does. You've got Gordon heading home, and Bruce basically cuts him off or sideswipes him. And as I'm looking at this again, the art is really picking up for me. I read this a little bit before we...
Well, it's also getting more diverse as it goes on. There's a lot more color, a lot more variation, whereas in the beginning it was very rough and it was kind of difficult to follow.
Yeah, and I think for me what it was that I was confusing this with Dark Knight Returns, because that's really where I have the art and the layout issues.
Yeah, well, and the other thing I've noticed about Frank Miller is he tends to go by a gimmick to pass time.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than spending all of the time telling out the entire story, he skips ahead or skips complete points or transitions in a certain way. Like here, he transitions by using dates.
Mm-hmm.
In The Dark Knight Returns, he uses television conversations to push on the story.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a convenient plot device. Here, I think it's done a little bit better than there, but I'll get into that later. But it's definitely evident in here. But in this case, I think it works well.
Well, it works well here because it's supposed to be
telling the first year
of Batman's life,
and it's also explaining Gordon.
Yeah, well, so that's the biggest thing about year one is I always thought after I watched the film that it was more of a Gordon story than it was a Batman story. Sure, in the film, Batman is there, he's around, but we don't get as much as we do here than we did there. At least I didn't think so, because there in the film, he's not really that... he's present, but he's not, like, ever present. Like here, he's at least on every single page once or twice.
Yeah, he's at least even
Most
with Gordon.
Yeah. Yeah. So, after Gordon gets beat up, he then gets his revenge on Flash, which I found really interesting.
Yeah, it was rather fitting how he kept the pimp hand strong.
Yeah.
So to speak.
It was a grand slam right there, you know, right?
Yeah. That's what she said.
Yeah. And we ain't talking Denny's, ladies and gentlemen. So we get to this, actually it's the mayor's mansion. And this just goes to show you how corrupt Gotham is. It goes all the way up to the mayor.
Yeah, everybody in town is pretty much on neck and neck with being corrupted.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Now
good.
Oh, I was going to say there are elements of this trade. I know I'm jumping around a bit, but they actually use part of this trade in Batman Begins.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Well, yeah, with Commissioner Loeb and
Well, I mean, part of that. I mean, that even goes through the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But like some of his, the summoning bats thing and the bat receiver, and I think he did that in the '89 film.
The bat receiver?
Well, it draws the bats close.
No, that was Begins.
I thought so. I thought I was mistaken on that second one, but I knew Begins did it.
What I do love about it is about the scene at the mayor's house is how he floods everything with smoke, and then that's where you get the dark. That's where you really get, oh my god, it's Batman! I thought that was awesome. And it's really interesting how this plays out through all these dates. It really is. I'm finding that normally in a book like this, and people are probably going to scream at their iPods or iTunes or whatever as they're listening to this, but I'm going to compare it to this because I think it's a fair comparison from my opinions. As I was reading through this, I kind of got a current Marvel Universe Hawkeye vibe off of it, because when Ryan, the Uneven Flow, and I reviewed the first 2 volumes of Hawkeye back in episode 26 of the podcast, it constantly changes background colors from reds to blues to greens to pinks to purple. And this does the same thing, but here, I don't mind it so much. I like the color change backgrounds in this. So let's see, where are we? We get to Batman is going to save the old lady, or Gordon is. Somebody's saving the old lady. Batman saves the old lady. And throughout this, as we've got to this point, we should say that Gordon and is it Yelson? Um, Essence. That's what it is. Essen is basically Sarah Essen has basically got Batman at gunpoint, and Gordon's like, "Don't take your eyes off of him." Oh boy, the mistakes people make when facing off against Batman.
Exactly.
Um, so we get into the second chapter, and Batman's in the building now, and he's oh no, wait, where am I? Yeah, he's in the building because this is one of the reasons why I don't like the constant scene changes in some comics, is because he gets in the building, he finds the little danger electricity hatch, and then it switches back to Selena for like one page, and then we go back to Gordon and trying to find Batman. And this scene and I know I'm referencing the movie, ladies and gentlemen, but the movie really is a love letter to this book, because the movie has these scenes so well done. This building scene where they're trying to find Batman was so great. Let's see here. We have basically they're all looking for him. They can't find him, and here is where he uses the where he uses his bat signal.
His bat alarm.
Yes, and then of course he has to save the cat, because every crumbling building needs a stray cat in it.
It's always a black cat.
Actually, this one was gray, but yeah.
I'm colorblind. Leave me alone.
And I guess this was like to show Gordon that he wasn't going to do the drastic measures. Like Batman isn't about killing; he's about saving people. I do like how Gordon narrates it, and how after the bats are summoned, how they followed him. They kept following the bats, and Batman must have turned at some point, and always eager to please the commissioner, Detective Swanson pursued the bats into the bitter end. So interesting. They don't really make it... They make it obvious, but they don't really make it, like, too much of a focal thing. But throughout this whole thing, Gordon has his wife, Barbara, who is pregnant with, I believe, their son, James Jr. And starting in this book here, in this part of the story, he's starting to basically want Sarah, his partner there, and they do more in the movie with it than I thought they would, actually. But they kind of show you that they're having an affair.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That was about the only time I've seen Gordon kind of waver.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's a man whore. Here.
Yes. And I thought, and again, maybe it's just me, but this final page before we get to the next part of the story, with him sitting on a bed and his wife sleeping, she's pregnant, I thought the animators and the designers on the movie did it so much better. I'm sorry, folks. I don't dislike Year One, the trade paperback. I don't. I guess because I've seen the movie, it's kind of clouding my judgment. And the sad thing is, I didn't even watch the movie before reading the story. I'd seen it when it first came out. So, so we get to chapter 4, A Friend in Need. And Batman is hunting down people to find who's responsible.
Yes.
Holy crap, that's an edit point. God damn it, 2442. So he's hunting down all these people, wanting answers to this because he's trying to figure out who is responsible for all this stuff, and how to get at them. I love the
Batman glider.
Yeah, I love the Batman glider, but I love the scene on September 25th where Gordon comes to Wayne Manor. It's so hilarious. Bruce really does play the Playboy role very, very well. And the Bat glider, that's awesome right there. I thought that was really good. I don't know how that would work though, because that doesn't look like a fast acting. You can just hit a button and be done with it. I don't know, because looking at that image, he's like strapped himself in.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
I don't know either. I mean, even looking at the other part of the image at the bottom of the panel where he's got his legs free still. So a little strange. So he's at whose house was that? I can't remember.
I lose track, honestly, just looking at it.
Yeah. Let go of me, you idiot. How'd she get up here? Who the hell? Claws, my face! So it's Batman and Catwoman, basically, now.
Yeah, that looks about right.
And, yeah. And I just now noticed the Mickey Mouse phone. Really? Seriously? A Mickey Mouse phone? Come on now.
Plan for subtlety, do we have?
Yes. Overall, I mean, I think it's a really, really good book. I really do. As it progressed, I like the art more and more. It's an interesting story. I don't know. I think the movie did it a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm almost inclined to agree. I do like the subtle nod at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
About the Joker.
Mm-hmm. That's what they put in Begins.
Yeah.
Was the end of this.
Calls himself the Joker. I've got a friend coming who might be able to help. Should be here any minute.
Yeah. Overall, I do like Year One. I think it's a really cool and interesting story. I don't know, man. I'm so used to the current day stuff with the glossy art and everything else. I guess you could say with the
we're spoiled.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. It's definitely age showing.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's a very wonderfully written story, and I think using the dates is nice because you have little snippets of one whole year from one date to one date without actually having to go through all 365 days of either Gordon's life or Batman's life or whomever's life, and it's a nice little passage of time. So, All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with final ratings and thoughts after this.
My brain's not a nice place to be.
So we are back here in the pull bag for Batman's 75th Anniversary Spectacular. For me, in year one, I'm going to give it a 3.5 stars, which is I really liked it. And the link to our universal rating system for Geekcast Radio Network will be in the post. I just felt at times that while I enjoyed the art overall as it progressed in the beginning, it was a little rough and weird. The story is amazing. The story is very well done.
I'm going to play copycat and say the exact same thing because that's what I was actually looking at while you were saying it. So,
it's just one of those things where I guess I got spoiled by the film. And then I said this back in Marvelous March. I've found out by reading older comics that I prefer the newer style as far as how, whether it's digital or ink and paints or whatever, I just prefer the newer, glossier, shinier style than I do the old kind of matte style that they used to use. But, hey, at least I can say I read year one and, all that good stuff. So, where can the people find you online, sir?
They can find me at SCP21 on Twitter.
Find me at TFG1Mike on Twitter. You can also follow at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates on Twitter. And make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
You've just heard the latest episode of the Pull Bag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.